Good morning. My name's Amy. I work at the Oregon Department of Education. I'm not very formal, so you guys can call me Amy, because you're all about like a couple years away from graduating and going into the work world. And I quickly learned that nobody uses titles anymore in the work world, so feel free. I work at the Oregon Department of Education. I have spent 17 years managing networks, help desks, security, information security, and right now I work in education technologies. I have a bunch of long, fancy titles that are boring, and I can't always remember which hat I'm wearing, so we won't go into those. But feel free to ask me questions as we go along. What I'm really here to talk to you about is not so much technology, but about your future and about how it intersects with technology. So I have this news for you. Your career doesn't exist yet, okay? And I'm going to give you like a little lesson in ancient history. So in 1990, this is what a cell phone looked like. And you can't really tell by the dimensions, but this phone is like a foot tall. We called it a brick. I knew a guy that had one of these, and he got in trouble because his phone bill for making a few calls was $1,000 bucks. This is what everybody wanted, which is a Mac Classic computer. These are things that you guys now use in maker camps to turn into fish tanks. These are cool. When I went to college, I desperately wanted one of these. I did not have one. And this is your Nintendo, the original Nintendo. Came in 1990, right? Anybody have one of these kicking around? All right, woohoo, I got one too. So 1990, the reason I picked 1990 as my start point is this is the year I graduated from high school. So you guys can do the math. Yes, I'm old. It's okay. But this is the year I graduated from high school, and this is what technology looked like when I graduated from high school. And guess what? We didn't have internet, right? This is what Mario looked like. He's like an 8-bit guy, okay? We didn't have internet. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have any of this stuff. There was no social media. There was no World of Warcraft. This sucks. No Google, right? We actually went to the library to look stuff up. So 1992 came along. In 1992, I got my first email account. And in 1992, I was in a computer lab at the University of Aberdeen in Scotland, and I clicked on this little icon. It said World Wide Web. And I thought, oh, I wonder what that is. I just clicked on it to see what happened. And this is what I got, this page right here, the original web page. So exciting. And you know what I said? I looked at that and I said, I don't get it. I would never use this. What's the point? And I closed it and walked away. 1994, I graduated from the University of Oregon. I have a bachelor's degree in English and history. Thank you very much. No technology involved. I can type. 1994 is heralded as the year the internet was born. That on the bottom right is Microsoft's beautiful, glorious web page in 1994. High-tech stuff, thank you, from Microsoft. So in 4 years, we'd gone from the Mac Classic with no internet to the World Wide Web. Hello, there we go. 1995. In 1995, I got my first real job. Whoops, I clicked something and something went wrong. There we go, fixed it. If you click a button and it doesn't work, click something else. It's a good solution to everything. So in 1995, I got my first real job that did not involve actually selling something. How many of you have jobs selling stuff right now? A couple? OK. Trust me, you'll all do this at some point. I got a job as a webmaster. OK. In 1995, if somebody says to you, what do you do? And you say, I'm a webmaster, they go, what's that? Because nobody knew what this was. And to do this, I had to quickly learn HTML, Perl, learn how to handle images. There was no video, no audio, and I was hired, guess why? Because I was young and they figured I better figure it out. We need you to figure out this web thing. We don't know what it is. We don't know how it works. Figure it out. And this is, by the way, 3 years before Google. BG. BG. There are actually people who lived before Google. This is like insane. BG. So Point in fact, I've had a bunch of jobs where the first thing people say is, what do you do? And the next thing they say is, what's that? Because most of these jobs did not exist before I had them. And the guy on the right is my dad, and he's a classic. He has no idea what I do. And your parents will have no idea what you do either. I was a webmaster. You all know what that is, right? I was a one-to-one marketing specialist. Back when this started, one-to-one marketing specialists are the people who figure out what you individually buy and target advertising at you. Yes, I was one of the evil ones at one point. I taught online before audio, before video. I was one of the original online teachers. I've been teaching online for 15 years. We went from straight boring HTML pages, text on a screen, to the glorious online classes that you can now get today. I was an information security officer. You guys know what information security is, right? Okay, 10 years ago, nobody knew what information security was because people were only just starting to realize that if you put your credit card in or your social security card in, somebody might get your data and make off with it. I was a software as a service relationship manager. You guys know what software as a service is, right? Where you purchase software that somebody else is hosting and running. Okay, job did not exist like 5 years ago. Jobs that did not exist before, okay, they came along. So that's the end of the ancient history lesson, right? Ancient history. Now, this is 2015, so 10 years ago, you guys were heading into first grade, second grade, somewhere in there. Third grade, what's that?
I feel so old.
You feel so old. Well, you're going to feel older right now, okay? Because this is what has happened since you all entered school. And this is what you need to pay attention to in terms of why technology changes quickly. These are new jobs that did not exist when you went into first grade. Digital marketing specialists. Next one, social media managers. Guess what? Before you went to first grade, there was no social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, MySpace, which is been and gone. All of these things are new. Chief listening officer. Does that not sound like an awesome job? Seriously, I didn't even know this job existed until like about a year ago. This is a person in a corporation whose job is to listen to what people want. Novel idea. Doesn't that sound like an awesome job? Blogger, okay? The rise of the blogger. It used to be to get published, you had to get a degree in journalism, a degree in something, write a book, write articles. Now you just write a blog. I know a guy who got invited to a conference in Norway just because he writes a blog. And he knows stuff. I mean, he is smart. Search engine optimization engineer. Somebody who makes search engines like Google spit out actual data that you want. Application designers for smartphones and tablets. How many of you have a smartphone? Okay, nobody has a dumb phone. All right, well, that's good. Yeah, those smartphones did not exist when you were into first grade, right? First Apple iPhone, 2007. Anybody feeling old now? Yeah, okay. Chief privacy officer, person responsible to making sure that your information is kept private, not just secure, but not shared. A Zumba instructor. Another amazing innovation in the last 10 years. I had to put in one that was not technical because not everything is technical. Green funeral directors, right? Funeral directors have existed forever. But people who are focused on funeral director work involving environmentally sound practices for how to dispose of us once we're done, all new. So the world is rapidly changing. Jobs that didn't exist when you went into first grade exist now. Jobs that exist now may or may not exist by the time you get out of college or by the time you figure out what you want to do. I'm still working on that. It's okay. But if you do have a notion that you're going to do a traditional track career, here's some things that you should know about classic careers. They change too. So I have a degree in English. I'm a big fan of William Shakespeare. I will admit this. I'm a Shakespeare geek. And this morning, they revealed that they have finally identified an actual drawn picture of William Shakespeare after 400 years of research. Even something as mundane as English literature can change overnight. Other careers that are not immune to change? Dentistry, okay? How many of you have braces? or have had braces? All right, woohoo, me too. Okay? This is a career that amazingly is extremely technical, and the technology is changing all the time. If you have a significant, I can't even do it, underbite. If you have like a jaw like Jay Leno, right? Jets forward. 10, 15 years ago, if you needed your jaw fixed, they break your jaw when you're 16, wire your mouth shut. How many of you guys want to have your mouth wired shut when you're 16 for like 6 months? Right? Not many. I bet you guys eat a lot. It's really hard to eat that way. New technology. When you're 8 years old, 10 years old, they go in, they install these little hooks in your mouth. They hook you up with rubber bands for 4 years. You never have your mouth broken. You never have your jaw sewn shut. And guess what? It fixes the same problem. All new technology in the last 10 years. Teaching, obviously, has changed. Okay, years and years ago, back when I was in school, they give you this textbook. We hope it's not 40 years old when you get it. And by the way, I had textbooks that were written in the 50s. This is scary. We didn't have computers in the classroom. You guys have computers in the classroom, and this stuff is like, don't get insulted, guys. This is old, right? Because now we have tablets. Now we have smartphones. Awesome. You have tablets too. You guys are rocking. So the technology's become smaller and more portable. How we teach has become different. We have things like flipped classrooms and online courses and massively online courses, MOOCs. Medicine has changed. Medicine's always changing. If you have a doctor who doesn't keep up to date, they're going to be out of date in 3 to 4 years. Beer brewing has changed. Viticulture has changed. I work with students who are in the viticulture program at Chemeketa, learning to make wine. And this is an incredibly technologically transformative process. The way you used to do it versus the way they do it now has changed a lot. And yet some things haven't changed a lot. Some things are still very manual. So what will you be doing? My prediction for you is that you will be looking at new problems that require solutions. Every time we introduce something, it creates new problems. I have a search engine. New problem. How do I optimize it to give the right results? So the big question is how do you prepare? Okay. And the answer, I'm going to give you the answer. Normally I just don't give people answers, but here's my suggestion, and we can add to this. And if you guys have other ideas, this is great because we should talk about these. But my suggestion is that you focus on meta skills. So I'm going to tell you a horrible secret, is that memorizing tons and tons of information to pass tests is not developing meta skills, unless your meta skill is memorization. There's nothing wrong with memorizing information, but you're going to have to learn, and then relearn again, over and over. Because what happens is that the information that you memorize today is going to be out of date or not useful to you tomorrow. So one of the statistics that comes up, I teach psychology in the workplace at Chemeketa. That's my other job, because I have 2 jobs. I'm not sure why. I haven't let one go. Actually, I love to teach, and it's a great opportunity to talk to students. So I teach this psychology in the workplace class, and one of the statistics that comes up every term is that if you go into a technical field in college, basically by the time you hit your 3rd year, the information you learned in your 1st year will be out of date. Okay, so everybody panics. Is everybody panicking right now? No, not yet. Okay. So yes, that is true, except for this. Does anybody know organizations that actually stay up to date, up to the edge on technology, on everything? Yes? No? Okay, come to visit me in state government. Federal government. Lots of corporations have old machines, old equipment, because you can't replace everything every 3 to 4 years. So while you're building out the new stuff, the old stuff is still there. So this experience, that information that you learn going back even years, is still a foundation for the next level. So learning how to relearn and build on top of what you already know is really the key skill. But nothing's ever wasted. Strategy number 2, own your education. So how many of you have read the catalog for this school? Okay, one or two. Okay. I challenge you, let me do a quick survey. How many of you are freshmen? Sophomores? Juniors? Okay, seniors? Okay. Of the seniors, how many of you planning to go to college next year? Okay, how many of you read the catalog for your college next year? Get on that. The rest of you read the catalog for your high school. And here's why. Here's why. How many of you go to a restaurant and read the menu? You just guess. I wanted this. Just give me something that looks like a hamburger, right? And maybe some fries. Okay. If you go to a restaurant and read the menu, you're going to have choices about what you eat, right? And you're going to say, oh, I want this or I want that. Your high school or college catalog is a menu. So there are some guidelines, some basic requirements that say you should take these classes. And then there are all these options that you get to choose from, right? Those are like the dessert menu. Design your career, design your education to build the education you want. Yes, you have to take English, and yes, you have to take math, and you have to take PE. But all those extra classes, the extra credit class, or the, what do we call those? Elective classes, thank you. Like, I know there's a name for this. All those electives become your choice to construct an education that you want. And your education doesn't stop in this building, right? Where else do you guys learn? Where do you actually learn, don't take this the wrong way, more? Where? The internet. Oh, yes. The internet is a great tool. It's like a library at your fingertips, right? Where else? How many of you volunteer? Yeah? How many of you work jobs? Yeah? Okay. So all of those are learning opportunities. How many of you are in band or sports? Okay. Learning opportunities. All of these things are learning opportunities. And sometimes it's good to take a step back and say, what is it that I want to learn? Do I want to learn leadership skills? Do I want technical skills? Do I want to learn people skills? And then say, okay, how am I learning those things in the work I'm doing now? And how can I learn those things in the future work or in my future opportunities, right? So you guys have tons of resources. Use them. Don't think of education as limited to what you're taking in class. Hello. Okay. Know your resources. We just covered a few of these, right? My favorite resource, I have to admit, is YouTube. I'm like, I want to learn something. YouTube. Okay? I can't get through this stupid RAID. YouTube. Somebody has done this. I can't figure out how to play this aria on the piano. YouTube. And you know what's really fun about that is usually some 8-year-old, right? I'm like, oh, okay, well, she can do it. I can do this too. YouTube, Facebook, all of those resources that are available to you. And by the way, old-fashioned books, also necessarily a good resource. People that you know. People that you don't know. Right? Just because you don't know them doesn't mean you can't meet them and use them as a resource and learn from them. How many of you have friends, like internet friends, that you've never actually met in person? Yeah? How many of you have developed those or thought about like going and asking somebody who's specifically interested in a topic you're interested in, maybe an expert on the internet? Have you ever thought about doing that? A few of you? All right. Let me tell you a secret. Those experts, they love it when people contact them and say, hey, I'm really excited about your research in how starfish breathe underwater, you know, or whatever it happens to be. They love this. They love to talk about their passion. So build those relationships. Learn to identify and solve problems. So I've managed help desks for, since you guys were in first grade, at least. And help desks, you guys do a lot of computer troubleshooting, right, in your courses, in your classwork. You guys are working with robots. You guys have these skills, develop them. because it's not knowing having somebody tell you how to solve the problem. It's knowing how to figure out how to solve the problem. And that skill applies to technology, and it applies to anything else that you're going to do. The world is full of interesting problems. How do you get printers to work in places where all you have is solar electricity? How do you get connectivity into a classroom? How do you solve the problem of water distribution after an earthquake? Right? These are all problems that come up. So it's not waiting for somebody to tell you how to solve the problem, but figuring out how to solve it for yourself. Honestly, I would 100% rather hire somebody who can solve a problem than somebody that's going to ask me, so how do I do that? Every time a new problem comes up. Trust me, my help desk staff outnumber me 10 to 1. I can't afford to have people expect me to know all the answers. I will give you a hint. If you ever interview with me, you want to know what the wrong answer is? I ask my manager. If you're answering a question in an interview about problem solving and you say, I asked my manager, you're done. Just telling you. Make note of that. One day, one of you will interview with me. I just know it. Take advantages of your opportunities and don't close your doors. So one of the things that happens as you get further down your education and your career is that you kind of channel into a focus. But don't channel early. Keep your opportunities open. And by that I mean make sure that you are keeping your range of courses diverse, that you are open to new opportunities when doors open, and jump through them. You may not like the opportunity, you can always walk away. But at least try new things. Try new things. Internships are a great way to try new things. If you think you might be interested in working in a field, get an internship. You might discover you don't like it. Okay? I actually have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. And you're like, how did she get into computing? The reality is that I had an internship halfway through my master's degree, and I decided this gig was not for me. I finished the degree, and I went into computer programming, which is what I was doing to pay for the master's degree. So, because it's easier to fix computer problems than people problems. That's the end story there. Volunteer. If you're interested in something, go volunteer at an organization that works with it. If you're interested in the environment, go volunteer in an environmental protection group. Or try out those skills before you commit one way or another to decide if that's what you're interested in. I'm going to make a plug for taking math in 12th grade. And this is partly from my own experience. This is one of my own personal regrets, is I did not take math my senior year of high school. I just couldn't fit it in my really, really crowded schedule. And I wish I had. And there's data behind this. I fit into a set of data. For students who don't take a 4th year of math, they are less likely to pass the placement exam and more likely to start college way behind in math classes, which means you're doing a frantic catch-up thing all the way through college. Math 60, math 75, math 90 is not where you want to spend your money. And those classes cost money. This is like a cash thing. If you're sitting here in this part of the room and you did not take math this year, I have a solution for you. There is a website called edready.org, edready.org. And it will actually custom build you a math program to get you ready for your placement exam for college. That's my plug for EdReady. And we're rolling it out actually to teachers and schools in the fall, but it's available to the public. So if you're panicking because you didn't take math this year, just get online. The answers are all online. Accelerated classes, right? Take advantage of those opportunities to take your AP classes or take classes at a community college. Bump off the stuff that you don't want to spend your time on in college. Because I'll tell you, the other great secret, higher upper division classes are more fun. The lower division classes are kind of a snooze. Don't tell anybody in the college I said that. I teach lower division classes. So they all are kind of boring except mine. Build your communication skills, okay? So there's this myth. What is the myth of the IT person?
Respect.
I heard the nerd word, yeah. What else? Come on.
Sit in the dark room, don't talk to anyone.
Sit in dark room.
Analyze.
Analyze, they're analytical. they don't communicate, right? They just want to put their heads down and code at the computer, leave them alone, okay? This is, by the way, a stereotype. In the real world, IT people have to listen, write, and speak. And you will spend more of your time, no matter what you do in your career, listening, writing, and speaking, than you will actually spend doing. So develop those skills. Make sure you're comfortable talking to a group of people. I noticed you guys have presentations at the end of the year. How many of you are looking forward to your presentations? Okay. And the rest of you are like, yeah, maybe not so much. The reason that teachers do this is because that ability to present is going to be what carries you through a job interview, out into the public, has you standing up talking to large rooms full of people when you weren't expecting it. Build and maintain your personal network. So how many of you would say you have good friends in school right now? Awesome. Keep those friends, make more. The people that you know now are people you can collaborate with for a lifetime. And the people you meet along the way will also add to that pool. You guys were so lucky. When, in 1990, even 10 years ago, if you graduated from high school 10 years ago, you did not have social media. You did not have a way to maintain those relationships easily across time and distance. Social media has made it so easy to maintain collaborative relationships and connect with people. It's incredible. And it can really pay off. So I actually have one person from high school that I'm still in touch with. And I have my ed tech staff person is ill right now. She has cancer, and she's in treatment. And she's been gone since December. So I've been doing her job and my job since December. And our HR person finally said to me, you can't keep doing this. You're doing two people's work. You're going to kill yourself. And I said, I'm amazing. I can keep doing this. She said, no, you need to find a temp. And I'm like, where am I going to find a temp with those skills? At the same time, I got an email from this friend of mine from high school who is a teacher who used to work at Amazon, used to work at Apple, huge technology background. Are you seeing the words here? Ed, tech, right? Says, I'm moving back to the United States. Would you take a look at my resume? And I said, you're moving back to the United States. Would you like a job? Because I was able to leverage that relationship and know what I was getting, who I was getting, and what they could do. You want to be that person that when you send that email, the person says, yes, we've been in touch all these years. I know you're awesome. Let me get you a job. Or the person offering the job, either one. So maintain those relationships. Coffee is a great way to do this. Yes. Social media is a great way to do this, okay? Going out and talking to people is a great way to do this. Build that social network in person and online so that you have those resources to help you later on and that you can help other people. This is a two-way street. But it's probably, you know the old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know? It's both. It's what you know and who you know that are really important. And when you look around and you're thinking, you're building those relationships, don't exclude people from that equation, okay? When you walk into the work world today, you're going to be looking at one of the most diverse work populations that you've ever seen. First of all, we have people in the workplace today between the ages of 16 and 75. Like 4.5 generations of people all working together. So if you roll your eyes and go, oh, I can't stand old people, get rid of that thought, right? Start looking for the value in the diversity of the people around you, whether it's where they come from, the languages they speak, the experiences that they have, their age, okay? Look for diversity in your social network. If everybody in your social network is just like you, your social network is not working for you. Because guess what? If everybody's just like you get this amazing phenomena called groupthink. Now this definitely is a little bit before you. But this right here is the Space Shuttle Challenger going boom in my 7th grade year. And the result of this, or the reason that this happened, this tragedy happened, was there was this phenomena on the team that was reviewing the safety of the O-rings called groupthink. There was not enough diversity and nobody was willing to challenge what anybody else was saying. This is why you want diversity. You don't want things going boom. Okay? Maintain your digital image. How many of you have Facebook? Instagram? Okay. Other social media things. Twitter. Okay. Any others that I've forgotten? Those are the major three.
Reddit?
Reddit. Yeah, I forgot about Reddit. Thank you. That image that you put out into the public world, that is your digital image, right? So before you head off to college and start posting pictures of wild fraternity parties, think about your digital image and what you want to have online. It's like a digital resume. And think about the image you want to project. Your pictures, your activities, your comments, your choices. Doesn't mean you can't have serious conversations and compelling conversations, but consider doing it in a professional and positive way that makes you look like a strong person, right? No trolling, guys, no trolling. You know, I love that they call that trolling. They used to call it flame wars, and trolling is just so much more exciting of a word. So, what does the future actually hold in terms of work? We don't know. But I can tell you it can look like this. Yeah, Star Trek, right? The internet, by the way, started on Star Trek in 1969, right? And this is where the concept came from. So your future and the work that you guys are going to do in the future is crazy amazing. I can't imagine it. I could not have imagined the world from where I was when I finished high school to where it has come today, right? Guess what one of the major impossibilities was that we were told when I was in high school that would never happen? Video on a phone. Having a conversation where you can see the other person. This was never going to happen. Never. Okay? Guess what? I'm carrying that video on a phone in my pocket, and it's this big. So, never comes awfully quickly in technology. It was never going to happen on copper wire telephones. That's probably true. But it doesn't mean it could never happen. So when you go out, think about what is the world that you're building, the future you're building, and how you can make yourself marketable so that you have those opportunities to really do what you want to do. So that's my official plug for building your own world. Questions? I'll take any questions. I'm all good.
Okay, who thinks they already know what they want to do? Yeah, what do you want to do?
Same?
There's a chance that software will still exist. Yeah, it might be okay.
You will probably be okay. Just be prepared to learn new languages all the time. Right? Anybody here know Perl? All right. Splat Perl, first line, right? Yeah. Everything used to be done in Perl. Now, very little's done. Well, there's still a lot of it out there. But new language acquisition. Who else knows what they want to do? Anybody? You do? What do you want to do?
Possibly engine mechanics.
Okay. That'd be awesome. That's an opening field. There's a lot coming, so. Yeah.
Chemical engineer.
Chemical engineer. That sounds scary. No. That's actually a huge field too. In fact, some of the hardest fought people to get hired are people with degrees in chemistry and people with degrees in mathematics. There are very few of them, and we need more of them. So, lots of opportunities and those kind of things.
To be honest, I think I will maybe choose what I want to be after I will finish military service.
Oh, okay.
I have to.
So, military service is an interesting way to go, and here's why.
I have to do
You-
military service.
You have to do military service?
It's conscription.
Oh, okay. It opens a lot of doors, though. Some of the best technicians I know in the field came up through the military. And let me tell you, when I'm interviewing somebody and they tell me they were installing networks under fire in Afghanistan, I'm like, dude, you're hired. No way is my work going to be as stressful as that. And I know you can handle it. So figuring out what you want to do after, good point. Use that opportunity, that experience, though, as an opportunity to develop those skills that you want to have. Convince them to send you to what you want to do. So when you guys are sitting in class, in school today, what do you think are the best opportunities for you inside these walls? Where do you get the most bang for your taxpayer buck? Seriously, school gets paid for, and one day you'll be paying for it for the next group. So where do you guys get the most bang for your buck? What's the most awesome class? You guys can,
It's this class.
This class. Same? Yeah?
This is the most useful class.
Classes that allow you to get both college credit. No.
Oh, college credit now classes? Dual credit classes. I love it.
Technically
Math? Okay. So classes that you see as where you can do something, i.e. build something, interact, those kind of things, and classes where you're getting more bang for your buck. I love it. If you could change one thing about school, what would it be? Homework. There's a lot of study that says that homework is not worthwhile. Did I just say that on recording? Delete that. It depends on the type of homework you're given. But just repetitive rote homework does not add value. What else would you guys change?
Come on, I can come up with like 50 things. It's not even in school anymore.
I know, I could come up with a bunch of things as a parent that I would change about school. What would you guys change?
Teach me how to pay my taxes and get
That would be
loans and
nice.
stuff.
Practical things like how to actually function as an adult, because you're going to have to do that here real soon, right? I love it.
Starting at a time where you can get plenty of sleep.
Sleep. Yes. You know, there was a study by the American Academy of Pediatrics that says that schools are all messed up because they send the elementary kids to school at 9, and those kids are up at like, how many of you have little brothers and sisters? Right? They get out of bed like unreasonable hours. At like 5 in the morning, and they run around the house. And then they should send the high school students to school at 9 because all the high school students need to sleep longer, and they like to sleep in. I totally am with you. I totally agree. I would totally agree with that. That's a great point. Sleep is really important. What else? You guys are unusually satisfied with your...
I heard that reading articles about people that are releasing new theories is really helpful to get smarter.
Okay, so reading more about other people.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a great idea. What else would you change? Come on, I work for the department. I can filter these ideas back up the chain.
Need
Come on.
more money.
Yeah, we always need more money.
Okay, so if you had the more money,
What would you do?
I would focus on learning each child's individual learning style so that we can adapt the lessons to fit children's needs.
Oh, I love this. This is great. Okay, so what you're looking for is, and this makes total sense to me, and think about this in terms of the technology environment we live in today. You're looking for an individualized plan for each student that leverages the strengths of that student, right? Because not everybody is exactly the same. Some people are phenomenally amazing at band or math or science or something else, and so leveraging that strength and that interest. So like individualized learning and diversification.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is what you get when you go to YouTube, right? You say, I want to learn more about, was it this week? I want to learn how to play a tenor sax. This was our YouTube thing this week at house. Because, 4 instruments was not enough. We had to add one more. And there was YouTube. Thank you very much for the instant lessons, right? Individualized learning plans. I like it.
How does that fit in with standardized testing?
Get rid of that. We don't need
Way
that.
to use that money to fund technology class.
That's a really great question. So
Yeah, technically.
So I don't work in testing. So this is funny, actually. I was thinking about this. The very first standardized test I remember taking is the Oregon State Writing Assessment, which was in paper with pencil. That's all. There were no computers, and I actually even remember what I wrote about. So standardized testing is an interesting thing because how does individualized learning fit with standardized testing? And I think that, you know, at the core, standardized testing is, it's a measurement of something. I mean, there's a desire, and you guys will learn this in business particularly, is there's always a desire to measure, right? And how do you quantify things like individual achievement? And you can't. So they have to pick the second best, which is how do we quantify something that we can just kind of test and measure? And when you guys get out into the industry and are asked to design metrics, right, and to measure how you know if something was successful or not, think about that experience of you know, do I think this is a good measurement? And does it make sense to measure this way? You know, you can argue the validity of measurement or the time you spend measuring. Yeah, I'm not sure I have a good answer to that one, but I understand the question because I grapple with that a lot, right?
What are some of the things that you guys are presenting on next week?
Oh, yeah. Tell me about these presentations. Should I come back?
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully you remember what you're presenting on.
Yes.
Virtual reality rooms.
Virtual reality rooms?
Yeah, so like you augmented reality, but it's like built as like a theme park.
Uh-huh.
You go in and you like fight through battles and monsters and stuff like that.
I want to be part of that.
It's so cool.
This is like three-dimensional, full-body World of Warcraft. I love it. That's awesome.
You need an Oculus Rift for everything.
Have you guys tried an Oculus Rift?
I really want to.
Okay, so I have to tell you, I was, you know, this new technology, I was kind of skeptical. But I got to try one at a Bernie convention. And so I put it on, and I'm like running through Ponyville. If you guys have ever, actually like won't admit to ever seeing My Little Pony, but it's a great show. I'm running through Ponyville, and I found the TARDIS, right? They had the TARDIS sitting there in the middle of Ponyville. So the Oculus Rift was really cool. I don't know if I would actually use it for a Ponyville type experience. I would actually rather have World of Warcraft on Oculus Rift, but.
I got to ride the Oculus Rift, an elevator that takes you to the top of the ice wall in Game of Thrones.
Oh, cool. See? But I haven't made it to BlizzCon, so they may have had Oculus Rift there, but I didn't make it there in the last couple of years. So, what else are you guys presenting on?
Network security.
Network security. Like how to hack it or how to maintain it?
Defense, how it works.
Okay, how it works. Defense in depth. This is hot stuff. This, by the way, is a degree field, another area where they cannot get enough people. Network security. If you have a passion for being the good guy, this is a great field to go into. We can't hire enough, we can't find enough network security people. And then there are people like me who get tired of it and are like, I'm done. I want to do something fun now, ed tech. What else are you guys presenting on? Driverless cars. Which are coming in like 2020.
Google said they're planning to
There is
install
some.
people in cars in 5 years.
So I'm very intrigued about driverless cars. Think about this. What is the impact to the economy of a driverless car?
It actually will like get rid of millions of jobs though.
Ooh.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You will not have to learn how to take driving tests too, I think, because if they automate it, then you don't need to learn.
Okay, so you don't have to know how to drive. Do you need a driver's license?
No?
What happens?
You probably will for a long time because you still need to be able to drive the car in case of an emergency.
Yeah,
Okay, so emergency backup.
There might be some like drawbacks to it, such as like sometimes the state gets its money from like pulling people over and getting tickets and all that, and nobody's getting pulled over because the car is driving itself and doing it so well, and the state's not going to get as much money.
That's right. And it's not just state, it's like city, right? I mean, there are towns I can name that won't, but if you come off a certain hill and you're not a local, they will ticket you just because they know you can't go down that hill at 25 miles an hour. Or they put the speed sign halfway down the hill, so you're flying down at 45 and it suddenly drops to 25. So yeah, huge impact. Has anybody here ever read any of the Shadowrun books?
Huh?
Shadowrun? You have. This is so Shadowrun is like a role-playing game, but there was a series of novels, and in it, a bunch of the novels actually take place in the Pacific Northwest, and they had self-driving
It's like
big rigs,
Yeah.
and they had these big self-driving triple trailers. I just remember this image of self-driving triple trailers going down Interstate 84, and I was like back in 1990 something, going, yeah, that'll never happen. Now I'm like thinking, you never know. It very well could, and.
Even Nevada just gave a test license to an automated big rig.
Oh, there you go. So automated big rigs. But while you don't have drivers for those people, what do you have to have for those people, for those machines? More repair peoples, more engineers, right? More programmers. Somebody's got to write all that code. More security people, because you don't want those things hacked. There was a big report on I'm supposed to fly to Philadelphia in 4 weeks. And they have this big thing on like the possibility of whether or not airplanes could be hacked and taken over. I'm thinking, I don't really want to fly to Philadelphia. So what else are you guys presenting on? Those are
Talking about copyright and the internet.
copyright and the internet. Hot topic, right? What do you own? What does somebody else own? How do you use it? Yeah.
Ironic if we get sued for taking any pictures or something.
That just means I was right.
Is anybody presenting on open electronic resources? Are you covering open electronic resources, OER, in your? Yeah, that's a cool topic too, right? Because this is a hot topic in education right now. Is can we replace textbooks with open electronic resources that people make available free of charge? Okay, sort of like crowdsourcing your educational materials. In the old model, what did teachers have? They have these big filing cabinets, right? Full of photocopies. And they still have that. But what if all those filing cabinets were open to the world and they shared through OER? What's the economic impact of those kind of things?
Paper.
I thought it, but I wasn't going to say it. you know,
Companies will lose money.
paper companies will lose money. Publishing companies potentially see a huge risk here. They're scrambling to keep their business, right?
Lumber, yeah.
Lumber. And guess what you need to manage all those OERs? More people who know how to manage files. And engineers and systems. Okay. See where this is going? All these solutions create new opportunities in technology. Anybody doing anything on solar?
So what?
Solar?
Oh,
Solar power?
nope.
Green computing?
So they all did Future Tech presentation in computer hardware 1.
Mhm.
This is like the next one.
Oh, I did mine on solar.
You did yours on the last semester.
Okay. Because that's another hot area, right? Green computing, because all of these computers need electricity, and how do we do that without?
Elon Musk is going crazy about that.
They'll read about space
Houses,
elevators.
the batteries.
Yeah.
Space elevator and Mars travel and
Anybody here signing up to go to Mars? I'm just curious.
I
You would? Okay.
After it's proved to be safe.
Mars One was actually proved to be a giant scam, but it's also rigged. They rigged it, so they know exactly going to Mars, but they don't have enough money to go to Mars. So they're not going to Mars.
So, 40 years ago, going to Mars had this long laundry list of problems that had to be solved, right? And right about now, that list is much shorter because they actually did the analysis in the 1960s on what it would take to get people to Mars. And then they made a list of all the problems they'd have to overcome. And that list is, the checks that have come off that list is quite phenomenal. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to Mars. By the time we go, I'll be too old. So I'm not too worried about it, but it will be interesting to see how we get there and what it looks like.
It'd be crazy to stay there for like the rest of your life. You gotta deal with like the same 3 people. Oh my god. Carrie is so annoying. Like, she keeps kicking up the dust in my face.
It's not just that, it's getting there and being in the same, confined in that space with those people, right? This is like living in your dorm room with the same 3 people forever. So who's excited about the future? You guys are excited?
We should be.
Do you see opportunity?
Yeah.
Is it kind of scary sometimes?
A bit. I was thinking about, do you know the Universal Union?
Mm-hmm.
The combine process?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
A little bit.
Okay, I'm afraid that one day it's actually what happens. Some country will get crazy with technology and they try to capture the world somehow. Like Nazi Germany tried to do.
It's always possible, right? We see these cycles in history. So it's really interesting because when I ask you if you're excited and you say yes, but that you're also, that it's a little scary, this, by the way, is a recurrent theme through all of history. And it also ties to literature. So there are some really interesting phenomena in history and literature around new technologies and what happens in literature. So back about 10 years ago, at the start of the recession, right, there was a lot of anxiety, and guess what we got? A lot of vampire books. Now there's a lot of change and a lot of anxiety, and what are we getting?
Zombie books.
Zombie books, right? So it's really interesting that excitement plus anxiety around change yields some really interesting phenomena in our literature ongoing. So we had vampires, now we're in zombies. I'm curious what we'll get next. But watch that cycle. You'll know when we're going through another cycle of change and excitement. You think what is?
Rogue AI.
Rogue AI? Oh, yes. iRobot, right? Yeah. So it's kind of fun to watch those. But yeah, it's a pretty normal historical cycle that we're going through. At the same time, we're accelerating, right? Our technology is accelerating at a speed that is quite phenomenal. Which, by the way, is my last piece of advice. Figure out what you really need to keep in your brain and store the rest of it somewhere else. Some things you really, really do need to memorize. Like, if you're a doctor, you better know anatomy. If you are, I have a friend who was an explosives expert. He better know the formulas for setting those explosives just right, right? But everything else, if you know where to find it when you need it, save your brain power for the stuff you really have to memorize. So, cool. Thanks, you guys. That was fun.